Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first edition of a nice show we're going to do weekly. It's called In the Huddle, and the kid that's responsible for this show, he is currently a member of the sixth grade Shelton Vikings AYF team. He's been playing football for 5 years. He's a right guard, and he's also a defensive tackle. Great kid and tremendous athlete. It is my pleasure to introduce Aidin Gianpoalo. And Aidin, I want to thank you for coming on today. It's a real honor for me.
Welcome.
So, Eden, let me ask you a recap for me a little bit. How old were you when you started playing football?
5.
5, and did you start out with flag football?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was it about football that you loved that you continue to do it at 11 years old today?
I just like starting passing the ball around and just like playing football and stuff.
Right. So, the first year of flag football, what position did you play?
I think running back and wide receiver.
Running back and wide receiver. And let me ask you, Aiden, you were only 5, so it's hard to remember. But what was the biggest thing that you liked about football in that first season?
Wide receiver, definitely.
Right. And now, would you go on to tackle football the following year, or did you do a couple of years of flag?
I did 1 year of flag.
1 year of flag. And, flag's important too, Aiden, because it's teaching you the fundamentals of football. You don't tackle, but you do everything else. You wear the pads, you block, you go over plays and stuff like that. And if I'm not mistaken, there were times you guys would play 2 games a week, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, did you get to play with any of your current teammates that first year or not yet?
The old somebody in the older team right now.
Right. Yeah. So talk to me about your first year at AYF. Now that is like a learning year for you, obviously, and it's tackle football. And you were probably only in second grade that first year?
Second, yeah.
Yeah. So just talk about that a little bit. I mean, you're a young kid. You got to go to practice, and I think practices always started August 1st. I mean, did it take some time for you to get used to doing tackle football?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what position did you play that first year?
Of wide receiver.
Wide receiver. And let me ask you, Aiden, did you get to play any defense that first year, or were you strictly an offensive player?
I think offense.
Offense, yeah. And who were some of the coaches for that first season? Because the coaches play a big part. I mean, they really help you guys. They teach you all the fundamentals. They teach you how to block, how to tackle, form, and everything else like that. So who were some of the coaches on that staff the first year?
Pretty much all the coaches in the older team right now.
Right. So correct me. I know your father, Tony Gianpoalo, was the head coach, I think, when you were in 4th grade. And who were some of the other assistants on that staff? I believe Travis Arnett was there as well, correct?
Yeah, Dan Latrella, Lee Berardi, and assistant coach Corby.
Right. So talk about that first year. I mean, how many games did you guys play that first year? And what would you say was like one of your highlights of that first season of tackle football?
I mean, defense, I did good.
Right. And you mentioned you like playing wide receiver a lot.
Yeah.
Do you like playing defense as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that first season, though, you start to play with kids that you're going to play with every year. I mean, you have a great group of kids that you've been playing with. Did you pretty much play with these guys that first year as well? Like I could think of Caleb Martin, TJ Arnett, Brady White, and those guys. Did you get to play with all of them?
In my first year, I only played with Jackson Sandin and Jake Palmieri.
Right. And Jake is still a member of that team today, correct?
Yeah.
Right. And Jackson's playing as well? Right. And so obviously it's a learning year for you at the second grade level. And did you guys play with the third graders as well that first year? Because I don't remember. Yeah, so that's a little adjustment too. You're playing with kids that are a year older than you, but at the same time, that kind of helps you because you're playing with older kids, so you kind of know what to expect going forward. Right. So, Aiden, talk to me about the third grade team, because I think the third grade team, you could really see during that season. That you guys could be special. You could have a great team. But it was also, I believe, still COVID was going on. Did you guys even get to play many games that third grade season?
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that team a little bit because now third grade, the coach stays on the field, correct? One of them on each side of the ball.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So and you play a really challenging position. It's not an easy position to play. So just talk to me a little bit about what your responsibilities are as playing guard.
Sometimes it's just like a big on big, just block my guy. So sometimes I have to pull and get another guy.
Right, and Poland's not easy, Aidin, because you really have to go quick too. The play is designed for the guard to kick out the end, kick out the linebacker, whatever he may be doing. So, I mean, there's a lot of responsibilities. I mean, I think sometimes people think, oh, it's just a lineman position, but you really have to do a lot of things, and you have to do them very quick as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And talk to me a little bit about playing defensive tackle. I mean, the biggest responsibility a D tackle has more than anything else is getting to the quarterback, but also trying to prevent the offensive tackle from, pushing them back and helping that running back 8 yards. So the D tackle's main responsibility really is to make sure the linebacker is able to make a good amount of the tackles.
Yeah.
Right. So Aidin, the fourth grade team was a very special team. I think you guys went undefeated in the regular season. You might have tied once, I can't remember, but that team was very special. That team, I think, got to like the third round of the playoffs. It was a real good team. I mean, you guys just seemed to really gel as a unit. And the other thing, Aidin, too, you guys do a lot of stuff in the off season as well to prepare for the seasons that are coming up, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just talk about some of those things you guys do in the off season.
We usually do like 1 or 2 practices a week, like during the off season, and like at the Shelton High School, we just do like 2 practices a week probably.
Right. And Aidin, let me ask you, that fourth grade year, obviously your father, Tony, was the head coach. And how did you like him being the head coach? Because at the same time, he's your father, but he's also coach. So you got to make sure that you're listening to him as a coach and stuff. Did you enjoy that fourth grade year with him as the head coach? Because I think it made you relax a lot as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that fourth grade team, as I mentioned, Aidin, had a great season. Talk to me about some of the teams that you guys play that when you look on your schedule, they're going to be tough games. They're rival teams. I'm going to get to it in a few minutes, but you guys played Monroe yesterday. But just talk to me about some of the teams in your league that are going to be tough games for you guys.
I mean, last year Southington was good, and Pomperog beat us last year to go into the championship.
Right.
So Pomperog and Southington were hard teams to beat.
Right, and you guys also played Newtown, correct?
Yeah, and they were good too.
Right, and Newtown's a good rival for Shelton, whether it's the high school level, the AYF level. I mean, always good competition right there. They're not far from each other. So, I mean, those are not easy games either, Aidin. And there's not on your schedule, really, there's not an easy game week to week. You guys are playing physical teams all the time. So just tell me how important it is to have good practices throughout the week as well as being physical during practice, because it really helps you prepare for the games, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just talk to me about how important it is during practice week to make sure you guys are treating it like games.
I mean, if you do like not that good in practice, you won't get that much playing time in the game.
Right. And let me ask you, Aidin, we've had some hot days recently. I mean, you know that. I mean, last week it was real hot. How hard is it for you guys when the season starts and you're playing on a real hot day? I mean, you're in the game and you're probably not thinking about it as much. It's probably worse in practice, but how do you keep yourself prepared during hot days like that?
I mean, drink a lot of water.
Yeah, and water is very important. I mean, you get those water breaks. It's very important to do that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the sixth grade team, Aidin, and let's talk about how you guys are doing so far. Tell me some of the guys on the team. Like, let's start with the line. You obviously are one of the guards. Who's the left guard for you guys?
Vincenzo Capuano.
Okay, and he's been playing a few years, correct?
Yeah.
Right. And then who are the offensive tackles for you guys?
Tackles, it's Jack Cartigula and Chase Gaitis.
Chase Gaitis. And Chase played some flag football, and I think this is probably his second year playing AYF. So
First.
First, and he's starting. So I mean, that says a lot about him. That's a great job by Chase. And you guys use the tight end, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's your tight end at the moment?
Usually Logan Elliott or TJ Arnett.
And TJ Arnett, and TJ's a good friend of yours. You guys have been playing a long time together, and just talk about him a little bit, Aidin, because he's very good on both sides of the ball.
I mean, he usually tells the tackle if he goes out for a route usually or stays in, so the tackle knows what to do.
Right. Now talk to me about the backfield. Who's in that backfield? I mean, I know you guys have a great runner by the name of Oliver, and I'm going to mess up his last name, but talk about him a little bit.
I mean, he runs really fast, and he's just we give him the ball a lot because he could run past people a lot and get a lot of yards.
Right. And now Brady White last couple seasons played wide receiver. He's now the team's quarterback, correct?
Yeah.
And how has that been going? Because, he has to get used to that position. I watched you guys against Monroe yesterday. He had a real good few good passes that he threw up there. So he's definitely prepared for the position. And he's also dangerous when he gets to the outside as well. He can really run, and he's not easy to take down.
Yeah.
Right. So, Aidin, talk to me also about the receivers, because they play a big part as well. They're very big for you guys. Who do you guys have at that wide receiver position?
Caleb Martin, Mikey DeVesta, sometimes Oliver, sometimes Brady. I think TJ sometimes, and yeah.
Yeah, and it's a dangerous offense. I mean, you guys are really good. You guys gel well together. You guys had no problem moving the ball yesterday. I mean, you guys really moved the ball on Monroe, especially in that first half. I know you didn't get in the end zone, but at the same time, you guys kept their offense off the field by continuously moving the ball that first half. So talk to me a little about the defense, Aidin. Who are the defensive ends right now for you guys?
Logan Elliott and Leighton Latrella.
Right, and Leighton's another one. He's a very underrated player. I mean, he makes a lot of good tackles. He gets to the quarterback well. So, I mean, he's really been a nice surprise this year.
Yeah.
Right, and obviously you're one of the defensive tackles. Who is the other defensive tackle?
It's rather Jackson Sandin, Travis Quinones, and Lee Aidin.
Right. Now I do know that at times the last couple of years your backup tackle, I believe, was Temwani Johnson. Is he still at defensive tackle, or has he been moved somewhere else?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Okay. And who are the linebackers in that on the defensive side of the ball?
Jake Palmieri and Vincenzo Capuano.
Right, which they make a ton of tackles. I mean, again, like I said, the defensive line's big responsibility is to make sure the linebackers are making a good amount of those tackles, which you guys do very well. I mean, and you guys all work hard together. And who's in the secondary for you guys, Aidin?
For what?
Defensive backs.
Caleb Martin, Zach Wilson, Caleb, Zach Wilson, TJ sometimes, and
Right, and the thing of it is too, Aidin, is you guys also have guys that could come in when the starters need a little of a rest sometimes. I mean, at every position, it seems like you guys are able to fill those positions when somebody needs a breather. So your backups are just as important as your starters because they do a good job giving you guys a rest at times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, who does the kicking for you guys, Aidin, at the moment?
Oliver.
And I mean, he's a very talented kid. We know that. And this group, Aidin, I think what's really special about you guys is, again, a lot of you guys have really been playing together since, you've been playing since second grade, but so many of these guys have been playing together since third and fourth grade. And the longer you guys play with each other, the more successful you guys are going to be. And I mean, I know we're looking ahead, but I really think about those seventh and eighth grade years when, the competition is going to get a little harder. Teams are going to get older and bigger, but you guys are really going to be prepared because you've been playing together for so long.
Yeah.
Right. So talk to me about, so far you guys have played 2 games, correct?
Yeah.
So just talk to me about the first 2 games of the season and who do you guys got coming up next week?
Our first game, we lost because we couldn't stop this one guy, number 11. He was just like really tall and fast and kept stiff arming us and like got 40-yard run touchdown sometimes and
Right.
just kept running the ball and he was good.
Right. And yesterday, let me ask you this, Aidin, because this was unique yesterday. I think this is the first game you ever played in a downpour. Am I correct?
I think second.
Second, but just talk about how, I mean, it was a, very good game, but it's hard to play in the rain. How was that for you guys playing in the rain yesterday?
I mean, it was like everybody else. It was their first game playing in the rain, and they fumbled like 4 times. So that's why I think we lost. We fumbled 4 times.
Right. I mean, I think the hardest part about playing in the rain, Aidin, and you just mentioned it, is it's hard with the snap sometimes, and you lose control of the ball, stuff like that. It's muddy conditions, but I know you guys, and I know your coaches. You guys don't make any excuses, so I know that this upcoming week you're just going to work harder. And this team is the type of team they could do anything through adversity. So even though right now, the first 2 games haven't really went your way, I would not. I think it'd be too premature for anybody to think that this season is over. You guys are really going to come on as the season goes. So, Aidin, let me ask you, last night after your game, you got to have a rare treat. You got to go watch the Dallas Cowboys play the New York Giants. I know you're a big Dallas Cowboy fan. I mean, to see, the Cowboys in person, that had to be one of the best games you've ever seen. Was that your first Dallas Cowboy game? Third, but I mean, that had to be the best one ever. I mean, they did everything right last night. So just talk to me. How was that last night?
I mean, it was good because they won 40-0.
Right. And I mean, I think it was 26-0 at the half. So
yeah,
I mean, it was really fun for you to get to see that. And I mean, everything went the way you could hope. I mean, there were a ton of turnovers that went the Cowboys' way. Their offense gelled very nice. So you had to have a lot of fun. I mean, it kind of had to make up for a tough loss earlier in the day to get to see your favorite team do what they did last night.
Yeah.
Right. So, Aidin, who do you guys got coming up this week? Who are you playing this week?
I think Southington.
And now is that game away or home?
It might be home.
Home, and most games are always played on Sundays, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, Aidin, I mean, I know you guys are going to continue to get it done. This group always does. You guys play well together. I mean, I wish you the best of luck, not just the rest of the season, but this week. And after Sunday, you'll come back on next week. We'll recap that game. So thank you for giving me a few minutes today, buddy. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And, folks, that was Aidin Gianpoalo. He's a 6th grader on the AYF Shelton Vikings team. And this was In the Huddle with Aidin Gianpoalo. I'm Mike Kenichi saying good night, everyone.